Hey, Dad. What are you doing? Can we talk?
Sure, yeah. You bet, Emma. What's on your mind?
Can we talk about sex?
No, we can't. No.
Dad.
No, why aren't you asking your mother about these questions? You two still aren't talking? Okay, that's even more reason why we can't talk about this right now, okay? I mean, you know what? We can talk about rainbows and unicorns and puppy dogs. We could even talk about a puppy on the back of a unicorn sliding down a rainbow, but we can't talk about the sex.
Dad, I'm being serious.
And I'm being serious when I ask you, why are you being so serious when you're so young?
I'm 17.
Here's the deal. We can talk about this like when you're 35 and a half. When you're 35 and a half, we'll talk about this there.
Dad, come on.
Okay. What's brought all this on? Is it about that boy that you've been seeing? What's his name? Jimmy, Andy?
David?
David. Tell me about Andy, David, go.
David. He's really great.
And you know why he's really great?
Because he cares about me?
No, because he wants something from you. Okay? All right? I know these things. I was a boy once and they're all scum.
Oh, he's different.
No, he's not different. They're all the same. Here's the MO. First he's going to ask you on a date, then he's going to kiss you, and then he's going to want the sex.
Dad, stop.
No, we will stop. I think it's a great idea because I don't even know how we got in this conversation. Let's just stop. That's a great idea.
For once, I need you to listen to me.
I do listen to you. I pay attention to you. I provide for you. I'm there for you all the
You're
time.
so not involved in anything I do.
Well, you're springing stuff on me all the time, Emma. It's always like this.
You're supposed to want to listen to me. You're my dad.
And I will listen to you when your mother gets home.
Dad, I'm pregnant.
What did you just say?
I'm pregnant.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think I would know.
Emma, how could you hurt me like... I didn't mean that. Why? Why did this happen?
I don't know. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough or skinny enough to be anybody extraordinary. And for one night, I just wanted to feel special.
You were never ordinary. You were never ordinary.
So, on the list of conversations you never want to have with your parents, that one's really high, right? That one's really high. So here's what I want to ask you. How many of you are risk takers? You like adventure. You like to try new things. You like to take risks, right? No. I just want to listen. I want you to listen. Because tonight is all about risk. It's all about talking about and assessing risk. So, like me, I am not a risk taker at all. I'm not a risk-taking personality. I don't like it. I don't like to take risks. All right? But what I will tell you is that in the area of relationships and sexuality, even stable-minded, non-risk-taking people do really stupid stuff. So whether you count yourself a risk taker or not, I want you to pay attention and think about risk, because that's what this is about. All right, last week we had a fascinating multi-layered conversation, did we not? That went all kinds of places. Some of you learned new things. I still am sorry about that. Okay? But this week we're going to take a little bit deeper look at what the Bible says about relationships and sex. All right? Now, who remembers what I said last week about the Bible and relationships and sex? Anybody remember? They were different, Bill. You're right. Explain. Like what was different? Exactly, right? So girls were married off by their fathers. Boys, you would have tried to find a vocation and get good at something. And then in hopes that one of the local fathers in the town would be like, I'd like you to marry my daughter. And you'd be like, thank you, sir, I'd be honored. Okay? That was how it worked. There was no Sadie Hawkins dance at the Hebrew school that Jesus went to. Okay? There wasn't Sadie Hawkins dance. There wasn't homecoming. Okay? You didn't have to go pick out a dress. You didn't do any of that kind of stuff. Okay? All that is new and not related at all to what things were like in the Old Testament. What that means is not that we can't apply the Bible to today. What it means is that we have to work a little harder at it. That we've got to try a little harder. That we've got to be a little bit more careful in how we do that. So, let's take a look at some of the Old Testament laws. Hey, Steph, could you check the camera? I think it's off.
I'd love to. Can you get off?
Assuming Grace isn't sitting anymore. All right. Now, the next following bullets, you are permitted to giggle. Okay? You are permitted to giggle. Because these are funny. Number 1. Okay? The biblical authors use the phrase uncover nakedness. All right? Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of. Okay? You good? Okay. And am I in the picture? What? Hush! I'll get to it. Shush. Quiet. Okay? It's coming. Okay? Leviticus 18, 6 through 18, specifically prohibits sex with any family members. Okay? They spend 12 verses explaining everything you cannot do. Okay? So, what? So, here's the deal. Okay? So, sisters, out. Sisters, out. You might say, well, obviously, if it's sister, no. So remember, in polygamous families where there were more than one wife, you could have somebody who is a sister of a sister. So step-siblings are out. Half-siblings are out. They're all out, okay? Your mother is out, okay? Your mother-in-law is out. Your daughter-in-law is out. Your daughter-in-law is out. Seriously, 12 verses to explain the basic rule. Stay away from family members. Okay, that's the first one, okay? Then it moves on to this point. There's no mention of sons, husbands, or fathers. At all. None. None at all. Everything is about daughters and wives. Okay? Leviticus 18, 19 to 23 speaks about sex with men, sex with animals, etc. Yes, it is in there. It is right there. Do not have sex with your neighbor's livestock. Okay? Seriously. Okay? No, you cannot. You are not allowed to have sex with your own goat. Okay? Or the neighbors. No, stay away from the animals. Okay? Seriously, the thing to understand about the Bible, listen, this is very important. Listen, if it's in the Bible, specifically in the Old Testament law, it means it happened once. That's what's really disturbing, okay? So it got in there. Like somebody boiled a goat in its mother's milk, and they had to make a law, you're not allowed to do that. Seriously, okay? That's what's in there. Old Testament law is fascinating because it's real life stuff. It's real life laws. It's real life things that actually happened, okay? Now this, I think, is fascinating. This comes from Deuteronomy 22. If a man takes a wife, after sleeping with her, dislikes her, slanders her, and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, do you like the language, by the way? When I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity. Then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town elders at the gate proof that she was a virgin. This is in the Bible, guys. Her father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he has slandered her and said, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin. But here is the proof of my daughter's virginity. Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders of the town, and the elders shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which is a lot of money, and give them to the young woman's father, because this man has given an Israelite virgin a bad name. She shall continue to be his wife. He must not divorce her as long as he lives. Okay? So what this law basically says, no buyer's regret. If you marry a girl, and they're like, I don't think so, Tough. Tough. Okay? Tough. Now, I should say this, okay? Because some of you are probably like, what the heck is this? Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders of the town, okay? Thank goodness this ritual is gone. But Jewish wedding rituals worked like this. You had a party, okay? And everybody got together and they partied. And then the couple went off to have sex for the first time. The party kept going, okay? They kept partying, all right? And then when the couple was done having sex, they would bring back the cloth that had been under them when they were having sex. I'm dead serious. I'm not making this up. I'm not doing this for shock factor. This is the cultural difference we're talking about, okay? And what they expected to see was they expected to see blood on the sheet, okay? Because for some girls, not all, but for some girls, the first time that they have sex, they actually bleed from something called the hymen spreading apart, okay? This is your welcome to biology lesson if you didn't know, okay? But there it is. And that was the goal, is you came out and you showed this bloody sheet to show proof that the girl was a virgin, okay? This is the cultural world that we're talking about when we start out, okay? And all of you are completely horrified at what I just said. But that's the truth, okay? That's the truth. And what I'll tell you is biology has not changed in 2,000 years, okay? That is how it is, okay? Old Testament laws. This is where it gets interesting. There's more, okay? But if it turns out that the girl was not a virgin, you stone her. I'm serious. Hannah. Okay, so, this is way more detail than I wanted to go into, but I brought it up, okay? So, what they did at that time, I don't know. What?
They're asking the same question that Hannah just asked.
Okay. So the question was that I said for most girls, right? But what if you were one of the unlucky ones who you didn't believe, and therefore you had no proof on the sheet? I don't know what they did. I don't know. So and I will say this, all right? Some girls end up rupturing or end up rupturing their hymens in other ways today, okay? Through, why am I talking about this crap? What? Sports are one way, tampons are another. There's a lot of different reasons, okay? There, I said it. It's done. Ask your mother or ask any of the women in the room. I have zero experience with this. I'm glad I'm done with that. Okay, number 2, okay? But here's the interesting thing. In Deuteronomy 22, if a man and a woman were caught in adultery consensually, stone them both. Okay, stone them both. Okay, now, this one gets interesting, okay? If a dude has sex with a woman who is married or pledged to be married, okay, who's engaged or married, and they have sex in town, and they're found out, stone them both. Okay, but, if a man has sex with a woman who is married or pledged to be married in the country, stone the man. Okay? And here's why. I'm telling you, they thought of everything. Okay? Here's why. The idea was that if a woman was in town and a man attempted to rape her, she should cry out for help. Okay? And again, I'm not defending any of this. I'm just saying this is how the law was written. But if it happened out in the country where she could have yelled for help all she wanted and had no one hear her, in that case, it's strictly the responsibility of the man. Okay? They thought of everything. Okay, this is the one that will just absolutely make you go nuts. If you rape an unmarried or unpledged woman, you have to pay her father 50 shekels of silver, marry the woman, and you cannot divorce her for the rest of your life.
That's scary.
Okay? All right. Okay, now, most of you are like, this is horrible stuff, okay? And I promise that I'm going to come back and say why all these laws were a really good idea. I will. Okay? Second of all, we're going to take a look at the New Testament. The New Testament is far less detailed. There's one word, porneia. Okay? That word, by the way, should make a connection for you is something else in our culture. But it's a catch-all word. It just describes sexual immorality. Jesus uses it in Matthew 19:9 in reference to divorce. Acts uses it in reference to a letter from the Jerusalem Council. We're going to read that, and Paul uses it a number of times. Okay, it's not a specific word. It just kind of means all of sexual immorality. In other words, anything that wasn't okay, they called sexual immorality. All right. Now, the Jerusalem Council is the first spot where we encounter this word in the rest of the New Testament after the Gospels. All right, and here was the issue. There were at the time Jewish Christians and non-Jewish Christians. And the question was, did the non-Jewish Christians, did the new Christians have to keep all the Old Testament ceremonial laws? Okay? And their answer was no. They only had to keep a couple. And this was what they said. They said, it seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us not to burden you with anything beyond the following requirements. You are to abstain from food sacrificed to idols, from blood, from the meat of strangled animals, and from sexual immorality. All right? That's it. They wanted them to avoid things that were connected to idol worship, and they wanted them to stay away from sexual immorality. So they didn't want them worshiping statues and all kinds of weird stuff like that. They didn't want them doing that, and they wanted them to be careful about dating and relationships and sexual immorality. All right? That's it. Paul writes this. He gives his long laundry list. He says, or do you not know that the wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither sexual immoral, nor adulterers, men who have sex with men, the thieves, nor greedy, drunkards, slanderers, swindlers, etc. will inherit the kingdom of God. And that is what some of you were. But you were washed and you were sanctified, you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ by the Spirit of our God. All right? He lists this as one of the things. He says, look, this is important. All right? All this to say this. I'm going to summarize the biblical teaching. Number one, I'm going to ask you this. Why have a law that says you have to marry your rapist? That is awful. But why was that a law? There's actually a really good reason for it. Hannah.
Because back then, women had no power, and if she was raped, the next man wouldn't want to marry her. She was a virgin. So
Exactly.
she would become a prostitute.
Parker?
What?
What's your quote?
Hillary's poking me.
I'm not worried about that. What's your quote?
What quote?
You had a quote that sums this teaching up perfectly.
What?
Confirmation. Thank you.
You don't remember? Who was it?
I thought it was Ross.
Oh, was it?
Was that Ross?
Ross sums it up. What?
You said you break it,
You break it,
you buy it.
you buy it.
That was Ross.
Was it Ross? Okay. Now, that's a little crass. That's a little crass. Okay? But that sums up this rule, and Hannah's exactly right. The reason you had to marry your rapist was to protect the woman. Now, I know you just recoil at that. You go, that is stupid. Okay? What?
They're in more danger.
But think about this, okay? Okay, look. Hold on. Okay, hold on.
If that were to happen,
What?
I wouldn't want to become a prostitute because that's what they would. That's all they had.
Exactly. That was the backup plan, right?
Being raped.
Right. You get raped.
By
You
different people.
get raped. Your backup plan is prostitute. Okay? I know, it stunk for women,
My
okay?
bad.
I'm not saying that we should go back to this. I'm just trying to explain to you the context. Well, thank goodness that times have changed, right? I'm grateful for that. But look, these rules were about protecting women. All right? That's why there's not a single rule when it comes to having sex with sons or fathers, etc. None of that. All right? All of the biblical teaching is basically this. They are aimed at men and designed to protect women. That can sum up the whole thing. They are aimed at men and designed to protect women. They may seem arcane and even cruel, and I would agree. I'm not saying we should do any of these, okay? I don't think we should have public stonings, okay? But I'm saying they were aimed at the men to protect the women. Number two, sexuality is important, all right? We talk a lot about things that we don't abide by in the Bible anymore, all right? All of you are in violation of one of the biblical commandments. All the girls. Do you know which one it is? All of you are violating it at this very moment. Nope, not even that. Hair. You are not wearing head coverings. All right? In the New Testament, it says that women should wear head coverings in church. All right? And all of you are breaking that rule. Now, why do you think we've decided that that rule is okay to break? Yeah, get your hoodies up. Come on. I don't have any hair to cover, so. What do you think the point of that rule was? Does anybody know or want to take a guess?
It was too sexy.
Basically, yes. So, let me parallel this conversation. Let's say that any of you, men or women, showed up tonight in a bathing suit. Okay? One, you'd be nuts. It's cold out there. Number two, though, what would I have said? I would have said, that's not okay. It's not okay to wear a bathing suit to church. Okay? Yes, Parker?
So, showing hair in church is like showing shoulder in school?
Yes. Given the time, right? Given the time, the idea was that wearing a head covering was an act of modesty, right? That was the point. And so it was about dressing appropriately and being modest in church, all right? So that's one where, again, we still apply the principle. Could you control the ducklings?
Sorry.
Yes.
But like, isn't it like, it's like you're not supposed to wear a hat in church? Like, it's kind of frowned upon.
Unless you've got one of those big, like, Southern-style hats.
What? Like the ones that they wear, like
For-
the horse racers.
Yeah, for women. Yep.
But like, people are a bulk hat, like, but
Yes.
like, if you
Right.
wear Billy's hat,
But ironically, right? But in our society, if you walked in with your pirate's hat on backwards, people would think that was rude. Okay. So I'm simply showing you how we've taken some laws and reinterpreted them and changed how we understand them. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take these two principles about being aimed at men and protecting the women and apply them through Jesus' teaching to love God, love others, and then yourself. Okay? Here are my main points. All right? Relationships and sexuality mattered in biblical times, and there's no reason to think that this was strictly cultural. Some of the teaching in the Bible, we say, yeah, that was really tied to that culture. It's not relevant or applicable today. I see no reason why that would be the case when it comes to relationships and sexuality. Okay? I believe that the biblical writers show concern for the more vulnerable, and I believe this carries over to today. As a rule, general rule, girls are more vulnerable in relationships and sexuality. Why? Why are girls more vulnerable? Maggie? More risk. Why is there more risk? Guys cannot get pregnant. You are absolutely right. My wife just texted me. Oh, it wasn't to me. No, I'm like, I checked because I was like, do I have food on my face? Like, what you trying to tell me? Yeah, I know. Right? But girls are more vulnerable because you can get pregnant, right? Guys, outside of seahorses, don't get pregnant. Seriously, seahorses carry the kids. All right? But this is the really important part. Because girls are more vulnerable in areas of dating and relationship, I will split the duckling couch. It puts responsibility on both parties to exercise caution. This is not strictly a girl issue. This is a guy issue, too. All right. I want to ask you this question. Take a guess. How many pregnancies in the United States in 2015 were mistimed or unwanted? 66? 1 out of 18 in general. 87%? Wow, you guys are... All right. The answer is 51%. All right? 51%. Half of the babies born in the United States last year were unwanted or mistimed. Mistimed means that the couple didn't necessarily not want kids, but they didn't want a kid then.
Oh, I thought you meant like it was like they came earlier.
No. No. So they might have wanted more kids, but they didn't want a kid then.
Oh, got it.
All right? So 30%, by the way, are unwanted pregnancies. 21% are mistimed pregnancies. 51%. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you this, and this is so generous of me. I'm going to say that if you are responsible, you meaning you now, are responsible, you can be at most 99% sure you won't get pregnant. At most. That is so generous. All right? It probably should be around 90%. Maybe 85. If you are as responsible as you can be, if you follow the health class teachings to the letter of the law, you can maybe get to 99% and that you will not get pregnant. All right? But my argument is simply this. Some risks are not worth taking. And this is one of those risks. This is not worth taking. And let me make my case why. I'm simply talking tonight about sexual intercourse, okay? That's how babies are made, okay? Here's my argument. Number one, boys, listen up. I'm dead serious about this, and if down the road you ever throw this back in my face, I will point to this night as the night that I taught you better. I'm dead serious. It is never loving to put a girl in a situation where she could become pregnant. That is never loving. Ever. Ever. Okay? Guys use the line, if you really loved me, you would. That line is self-defeating right there. You would never do that to a girl. You just wouldn't. Number two, it is never loving to put yourself in a situation where you could become pregnant. It's not loving of yourself. Okay? And let me explain why. Very simply. Y'all are unstable. You are. You're unstable. How many of you, 4 years from now, plan to be living where you're living now? None? Really?
I want to get out of my house.
Really?
4 years from now.
So none of you are planning on taking some time off from school because you're pregnant? No? You all want to graduate high school on time? You've all got plans for after high school?
Yeah.
See? That is by definition unstable. How many of you have big time incomes?
I thought you were talking mental, like.
No, not mental. No, sorry. I meant in life. Right now, you are very much in transitional phases of life. Right? Very much transitional phases of life. All right? To explain the difference, okay? To explain the difference, I'm doing the same job I was 10 years ago when Marissa and Amy met me. Okay? I'm in the same job. We moved houses once. Okay? Stable. You, unstable. Okay? Me, stable, mostly. You, unstable. Okay? Now, in the time, I'm going to use Marissa and Amy for examples. Okay? By the way, neither of which have been pregnant, just so we're clear. Okay? In the time that I have been there, they have gone off to college, come back from college, changed jobs multiple times. Just a whole catalog of unstable. Not bad, by the way. Right? This is not bad. All right? I do not want you to live in your parents' basement till you're 35. I really don't. Okay? You want to do these things. You have plans. You have goals. You have things in your life you want to accomplish, and those are good things. Okay? But what I'm saying is that they make you by nature unstable. And if there's one thing that I can promise you, babies and unstable don't mix. They really don't. And here's why. It is never loving to start a life when you're 100% not on your life, even remotely close to being responsible for a child. You're not ready. You're not ready. You're not. Okay? I became a father for the first time when I was 25. 26. All right? When that happened, I was married. I had a house. And you know what? My life was a mess. My life was a mess. Speak nothing of my life. My wife's life was a mess. Kids are messy. They stink. They don't sleep well at night. They're not very fun to take places. Renee and I were commenting last night. We were really lousy to hang out with for a long time because we had kids. You can't go anywhere without a diaper bag. Okay? You're carrying a diaper bag. Like, you go from getting ready to go to prom to carrying a diaper bag. Trust me, I love my kids. I'm really glad that we had them when we did. Okay, I had this little thing called health insurance. Okay, I know, you guys laugh. But this is the stuff, when it comes to having sex, you need to think about. This is the stuff you need to think about. Because this is the reality. It may be a 1 in 100 shot, but you better have a plan. You better have a plan for what happens if you get pregnant. If you're going to have sex, you better have a plan. And when I mean you, I mean both of you. Both of you. None of this guy's bugging out once the girl gets pregnant. That's never faithful and God honoring. Okay? You're not ready. Sex before marriage is one way to mess up 3 lives all at the same time. That's a risk that's just not worth taking. All right? Now, listen to me. You will be bombarded with messages that tell you that everything that I taught you is old-fashioned and out of date, and I'm just prudish, and I'm trying to keep you from having fun, and yada, 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 and yada, yada, yada. Okay? But I will simply come back to this and say, there are some risks in life that are worth taking. Absolutely. There are some risks in life worth taking. There's some that aren't. And I'm going to argue that at the point where you are in life, and the point where you will be for quite some time, the last thing that you need is an unintended pregnancy. Now, I haven't even talked about the myriad of other things that can go wrong. I'm strictly talking about the bottom line, right? God created sexual intercourse for many reasons, but one of them is for the procreation and birth of children. Okay? You cannot get around that. The best use of the pill and condoms and anything else you want to use can never guarantee you 100% effective. And I will tell you, that 51% statistic, I believe it. And you know why I believe it? Because I've got kids in this church, and we have friends, and I can go down the list in those classes, and I can tell you, that one came early, that one came early, that one came early. All right? Now, let me explain. All right? My wife knows I'm going to say this. One of our kids, we fit that statistic. I won't tell you which one. I love them both. Right? One of them was mistimed. All right? Here's the thing. When that happened, we were like, oh no. But we figured it out. Right? We were married. We made a commitment to one another, and we said, we are in this together, we'll figure it out. And we did. Okay? So when you're married, and you're in that context, you can handle it. You can make it work. You can figure out a way. But let me tell you something. When you're at the point that you are in life, that is going to throw you for a loop that you just don't want to take. Okay? That's going to throw you for a loop that you simply just don't want to take. Let's see. I think that's all I got. That's all I got. Questions?